So today we've got JT Short from Standard Industrial that was here in April, and he's done a value stream map, and I'd like to have him come up and talk about his process. Where's it? I think it's still on. Yeah, at the left one.
Okay. I took the class back in April. My background is lean and quality, also ISO. So I've used this in a process years and years ago, but it continues to improve, which follows through with what I do today. I'm a process improvement manager. So with that being said, what we do at Standard is we supply critical products for a company called Brom International Ability. And they create special handicap vans and lifts for people all over the world. So to identify our route, what this particular VSM is for the quoting process. So we have the owner of the step process, step in the process flow, yes process, and no process. So in the beginning here, we have a project manager who does all our quoting. The documents are received by Paul for quoting. They come in three categories: as a PDF file, a DXF file, which is the CAD drawing, and a step file, which is process for going on out to the floor. From there, Paul, he forwards the documents to the PPAP team, and from there, it goes to Glenn, who is our process engineer. He reviews the documents, he puts them into a CAD program and simulates the bending on our presses just to make sure that the piece is buildable, because sometimes we get an engineer that he's way out in left field and it looks good on paper, he drew it really nice, but when it comes to putting it into a press, it's not doable. So Glenn makes a decision on that. If it's good, he notates the setup, how many bends, the measurements, and the tooling needed for that press to produce that part. If it's no, then we don't have the tooling, then it goes back to Glenn. Glenn process tells what tooling we need, then we get two quotes on the tooling. It comes back, we determine if we proceed or not, if it's going to be cost effective for us. So after that, it goes, if it's yes, it drops down to the next fragment. We unfold the 3D drawings for our laser guy, for our press operators. Then it goes into nesting to cut. We run ghost times to see how many pieces we can nest of this particular product on one sheet of steel. From there, we go into the system. The nesting sheet's evaluated. That's done by Johnny. He's our laser lead. If that piece comes back as a no, then we review with a customer as to how they want to proceed in recreating this piece. If it's yes, then it goes back into the nesting. We cut it. It comes back out. It's routed and orders in the global shop for us by Paul. If it's yes, we do the PPAP. It goes to the customers, and the PPAP process, customer refines the PPAP, whether it's acceptable or not. So as you can see, every step is liable, every step is important. So when you're doing your value stream maps, you just want to make sure that if it's something like in your quoting process, everybody needs to have an assignment on that, so that when you overview it, there's no questions as, okay, whose responsibility is this and where does this go? Because it's all value added. Because if this doesn't process well, none of the rest of the system's going to process well. So that's what I've got.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
You're gonna hand
Yes,
him
sir.
that mic.
What kind of problems were you having that led you guys to want to make the map?
In the
Can
beginning,
you repeat the question, please?
I need the microphone.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What kinds of problems were you having that led you to want to create this map?
In the beginning, there was meetings where the process was developed, but it was misinterpretation in these meetings.
It wasn't documented, or the process wasn't documented, so you had people had different versions of the process?
That's correct. You know, everybody had a different idea how the process was to go. But by putting this VSM together, we all discussed it, we all agreed upon it. It was a brainstorm event there in the meeting room as to, okay, do you think there's anything that needs to be added? Do you think we got too much or what? You know, so once we streamlined all that out and everybody was agreeable to it, then we found this to be a 100% process improvement. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of non-value add things were in your process that you realized maybe you could improve?
Oh, wow. There was a lot of non-value added because the main non-value added process that was involved was too much chatter. You know, we've got a set amount of time for these meetings. Meetings usually run 15 minutes. If we have to recess and come back, then we'll reschedule another meeting for 30 minutes. So that was our main non-value added, because once we got everything refined, it was just one step after another. So that would be the main thing. Anybody else? Okay, back to you, Roy.
Thanks, JT. Yeah, so actually, JT made a good point that, you know, we talked about value stream mapping for improvement, but one of the benefits of just documenting the process, so even before you jump to improvement, is you know, documenting the process so that everybody involved in that process knows the chain of events, you know, who hands off to who and so on. So there's no confusion on what the process is. So that's an excellent point. Okay. I think I got to skip ahead a couple here. Okay, so this brings us to the assignment. Like I said, if you would like to come back and make a short presentation and document your process, I really encourage you to do it, because it's kind of finishing the project is the way you're really going to learn. If you just go back and you know, forget about this and never use it, you're going to lose it, so to speak. So I would encourage you to go ahead and just my thinking, we'll probably have another session either January or February. So that's kind of the timing, so that we'll let you know. But you know, thinking of time, if you want to, you know, send me an email and let me know what the process is, what you'd like to focus on, please do. You know, I can, you know, give you some hints or some help. If you want to send me a draft of a current process and so on. So the idea is try to draft the current process if you're doing an improvement in you know, the future state process. In the future state, as I said, you don't want to go too far in the future. Do something that you can do in a short period of time of a few weeks. You don't want to say this is going to be done in 3 years from now. You want to focus on the next iteration of this process, something you can do in you know, a month or two rather than 2 years. Does that make sense? Because you can always back and do it again, PDCA. So I think we're just about wrapped up. Let me, I've got an evaluation also. If there's any questions you have, any questions or comments before I hand out, and you want to pass those around. I'll put some on the other side too. This is just a short evaluation, just kind of make sure we're making improvements in the process of doing these lectures. So any questions or comments before we break up? And then we'll go after, if you want to stay around, maybe Abby, you can show them over to the engagement center. Okay, it's across the street. And you're welcome to leave after that, so you don't need to come back here after you go to the engagement center. So go ahead and take your bags or your computers or notes with you. So.